Let's talk about something that might strike a chord with many of us, the fear of starting over. Imagine this for a second. You're playing a video game, maybe Fall Guys, Rogue Legacy, or even something classic like Ghosts and Goblins. If you lose, there's no saving progress. You're dropped right back at the beginning with all the frustration that comes with it. But as you dive back in, something strange happens. You're better. You've learned from your mistakes, and you're wiser now. That first level doesn't seem so intimidating anymore. This, my friend, mirrors life in a big way. It's not about never falling. It's about knowing that every time you fall, you rise stronger, smarter, and better equipped for the next round. Let's journey back to the mid-1800s for a real-life example of this. Born in November 1835 in the small town of Florida, Missouri, a boy entered the world, one of 7 siblings. By the age of 11, he lost his father, and by 12, he was out of school, working as a painter's apprentice. Fast forward a few years, and he was contributing articles and sketches to the Hannibal Journal. At the time, the ultimate dream for boys like him was to become a steamboat pilot, a job that carried both adventure and prestige. And that's exactly what he did for 2 years, navigating the dangerous waters of the Mississippi River. But tragedy struck when his younger brother, whom he had invited to work with him, was caught in a steamboat explosion. His brother died, and the young man carried that guilt for the rest of his life. But this is just the beginning. That boy grew up to be someone we now know as Mark Twain, one of the most celebrated authors in history. Yet his path wasn't smooth or straight. After losing his brother, he moved west, where he began to write humorous columns for a local paper. His talent quickly caught the nation's attention. He married into a wealthy, progressive family, surrounding himself with intellectuals, activists, and innovators like Nikola Tesla. Things were looking up. He had a thriving writing career, loving family, and even investments in new technology. But here's where life took a sudden turn. He invested nearly $300,000, about $9 million in today's money, into a mechanical typesetting machine that ultimately failed. Every penny he had, along with his wife's inheritance, vanished. Twain and his family were forced to sell their lavish home and leave America for Europe, financially ruined and in debt. Imagine that for a moment, everything he'd built over the years, all his successes, crumbled. He had to return to New York multiple times just to close down businesses that were bleeding money. He filed for bankruptcy in 1894, a devastating move for anyone, let alone a man of his reputation. But here's where Twain's story takes a turn. Despite the financial ruin, he didn't lose everything. Why? Because he still had his experiences, his friends, and most importantly, his mindset. With the help of his friend Henry Rogers, Twain was able to protect his intellectual property, safeguarding the rights to his written works from creditors. And slowly, he rebuilt his life. He embarked on a grueling international speaking tour that took him across the globe, from America to Canada, Fiji, Australia, South Africa, India, and beyond. Even though he was often sick, he pressed on, determined to pay off his debts in full, even though he wasn't legally required to do so. This is the essence of starting over. Twain didn't begin again from nothing. He started with his experience, his resilience, and the wisdom he'd gathered along the way. And through sheer determination, he reclaimed his place in the world. Our fear, when faced with the possibility of losing everything, often centers on the idea that we'll have to start again with nothing. But the truth is, we never truly start from scratch. Whether it's friends who lift us up, the lessons we've learned, or the strength we've gained from past struggles, we always begin again with more than we had before. It's not the loss of money or material wealth that should scare us. It's the loss of mindset. A poor mindset will keep you stuck, but the right one will propel you forward. Mark Twain didn't retreat into bitterness or let his failures define him. He could have stayed in America, living a life of regret and dwindling into obscurity. But instead, he embraced change, moved across the world, and leaned on those he trusted for advice. He didn't allow the failure of his investments to poison his outlook on life. Even in his later years, when personal tragedies like the death of his wife and daughter struck, it wasn't the loss of fortune that weighed heavily. It was the loss of loved ones. So, what does this all mean for you? Taking risks in life can feel terrifying, But as long as you don't lose the people who matter most and maintain the mindset that brought you to success in the first place, you'll be okay. Don't cling to comfort out of fear of failure. With the right people by your side and the right perspective, you can always rebuild, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Remember, you're never starting from the beginning, you're starting from experience. And what a powerful place that is.